Howdy folks, Kdog back here with another Kdog Movies. And I know I've been going on about my broadcasting days and so on and so forth. And just a few weeks ago I had done a review of a movie from the 1980s called Broadcast News. Well, I would like to take a look at another film. This one I've kind of put off because it's a little difficult for me to talk about this film, just because there's so much going on in it, and for me to describe it, it's a film that is really reverent to what goes on in society today. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and announce the film. It's from 1976. It is the Sidney Lumet film Network, with a screenplay by Patty Chayefsky and produced by Howard Godfrey. Originally released by MGM and United Artists. It was a co-production between the two, which were two completely different companies at the time. Yeah, this film is probably one of the most celebrated films of the 70s, at least. Even still to this day, people talk about how good the writing is and how good the story is. But for different reasons, actually. The story revolves around, well, these four people. We have, like I said, there's a lot going on in this movie, and tried to describe it. It takes place at a fourth broadcast network. Now, keep in mind, this was 1976. A couple things didn't exist back then for in terms of television. There was only 3 networks at the time: NBC, CBS, and NBC. And so they created this, again, they created this fictitious fourth network called UBS. And the film takes place for this network called UBS, and they have an anchor that's on television by the name of Howard Beale, played by the late Peter Finch. Peter Finch would later go on to win the Academy Award for this role, and but he would die. He unfortunately passed away before he was able to receive the award. Matter of fact, I don't think the film was released yet before he passed away. But he plays a character by the name of Howard Beale, and Howard Beale is this news anchor who conducts the evening news at 7 o'clock. But the film is narrated, so it explains at the beginning that Howard has had some trouble in the ratings. He's also struggled personally. You know, he's a widower. Because of that, he began to drink a little bit, and things just went downhill for him, including the ratings of his TV show, which is the nightly news. And they are thinking of the network is completely thinking of replacing him altogether, you know, because he's bringing in poor ratings. And the head of the news division, played by William Holden, he does not want to let Howard go. So at the beginning of the film, you see Howard Beale and William Holden's character, Max Schumacher, sitting at a bar, and Howard Beale says, "I'm going to kill myself." And it's just jokingly. they're saying it as a joke, and then finally he goes on the air and he's serious. He says, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to blow my brains out on television. Now, yeah, you could not do that at all. And so that gets the network all riled up, because why would he say such a thing? And the first thing they do is they pull him off the air. And they put on a substitute in the meantime, and they're looking to go get him some help. And when that happens, he comes back and he says some very outlandish things that you still cannot say on television. Things like swear words, you cannot curse on television. One of the things he says is, I got tired of all the BS. I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but he says, I'm tired of all of it. And again, taking him further down that hole. And so the network steps in to fire the fire Beale and Schumacher, because they've had enough of everything. And the next day, the ratings come in, and it's through the roof for the news. And they're saying, no, keep this guy on because he's got something to say. And apparently America's caught up in it. And it just gets worse. The ratings take another dip, and then they're considering firing him again. And it gets to a point where where Beale comes back in the studio. He's wearing nothing but his pajamas, and he's been walking in the rain all day. He's nothing but in a raincoat and his pajamas and in the rain, and he comes on and he starts ranting and raving about the way things are bad and going in the world, and then finally he says, he gets everybody to chant, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. The famous phrase from this film. And so, again, that gets the ratings through the roof, like the highest they've ever been. And so you have also the character of Faye Dunaway. She's brought on because she's wanting to create a show that's not the stiff, gee golly, type of show. She's a very, very cynical person, and is all about the ratings. She's matter of fact, she wants to create something called the Mousy Toon Hour. And they even go as far as to hire this black communist terrorist group to do a show based on them. And there's even some footage of them robbing a bank out in California, and so she wants to make a TV show out of these people. That's how insane she is. But also, she's the head of programming for the network. And so, when Howard Beale does this shtick, that gets her interested, because he got millions of Americans to stick their head out a window and yell, I'm tired of all this stuff. And so that pursues her to go to the head of the network and change the way the news is being broadcast by bringing in the entertainment crew into the news corporation. And eventually that works for a long time, and Beale is this loud, prophetic voice on television, preaching preaching that whatever you hear is fake. It's what you want to hear. But it's not the truth. And at one point he says television is an amusement park. It's full of sideshow freaks and lion tamers and football players. And he goes on to say, we are in the boredom killing business. We tell you anything that you want to hear. And you know what? He's right. But then he starts to attack the corporate setting, like the corporation that owns the network. And that takes him to the chairman of the board. Because once you attack the corporation, it's biting the hand that feeds you. Once you attack them, they start coming after you. And so that gets the chairman of the board involved. And the chairman of the board has figured out that this man is probably mentally gullible right now, and gets him to change his thinking to manipulate the crowd. And at one point he takes him into the boardroom, and he gives Howard Beale this long speech about how there is no democracy anymore. And he starts listing off all these companies. There's only DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, AT&T, and he starts naming all these big companies that were prevalent at the time. The scary thing is you could fill in the blanks with some of the corporations going on today. Think about it. But anyway, so it convinces Beale to go back on his show and start changing the way that the chairman of the board wants it. Well, once that happens, the ratings begin to fall. To eventually to a point where they're back to wanting to get rid of Beale and do it in a way that where he cannot find another platform to go on. And so something happens at the end of the film that's very shocking and quite disturbing to the character, and I want you to check the film out for yourself to see this. But also, you have this. There's this love affair between William Holden and Faye Dunaway. William Holden ends up leaving his wife, played by Beatrice Straight, who also won an Academy Award for her role. But yeah, she's kind of a manipulator, and then you have Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall is actually the head of the network, actually. He's like the main network guy. Now, Ned Beatty, playing the chairman of the board, he's the owner of the company. But yeah, you have Robert Duvall in kind of you can't really like the guy, type of character. He's he's about, again, he's one of those guys that's all about, it's a sensation, we're bringing revenue into the network. And one of the things about this film that made it, at the time this film was considered to be, it was considered to be kind of a satire. When in reality, it was satire back in the 1970s, but as of now, it's a reality. It's a harsh reality. I mean, because once you see this film, you'll go, oh my gosh, we're doing that stuff today. And actually, this film was a warning, because they knew it was headed in that direction back in the 70s. Because back in the 1970s, you did not have CNN. You did not have Fox News. You didn't have MSNBC. All you had was the three big networks, NBC, ABC, and CBS. Fox wasn't even around yet. But Fox, give Fox about 10 years, and then they finally came about. And, but think about, once you see this film, you think about a lot of the stuff that is happening in the film is kind of happening today. Maybe not exact, because when there's a part where Howard Beale goes on the program and he starts ranting about television, and he says, we're in the boredom killing business, but he calls it the tube. There's not one thing you didn't get out of this tube. You don't read books. You don't do this. You don't do anything for yourselves. He says the tube is the gospel. Now, that was back in the 1970s. You could easily, it's not necessarily the tube. Now, when he's referring to the tube, he's referring to picture tubes. Picture tubes was something that went into TV sets to make them work, to produce the image. Now, a television set doesn't have a picture tube. It has lights and LED lights, but it does not have a picture tube anymore. But what else do we have that's besides the television? How about the internet? How about social media? That's what we have. Go around and look at how many people got their nose stuck into one of these. Think about that. Not every single person has got their nose stuck on a phone. And it's giving you information. Because look, I can pull this up right here. There's headlines. Isn't that crazy? And not only that, back in the 1970s, you would never ever think of mixing the news department with the entertainment production department. Now, go turn on a cable news channel. And what do you see? All about the ratings. Think about that. Just look up all these commentators who are on the cable news networks. And look up their ratings. you will find that some are higher than most. And that's the way they like it. They don't care if it's the truth or not. What they care about is getting your viewership. Even YouTube. What's the little thing that you see down the bottom of the corner, down right here, besides the play and pause? You see how many times this video has been viewed. I don't have a lot, but I can tell you that there is a number there of people who do watch it. And you can see, and it's not just my videos that you can see this. You can see this on the top channels and everybody. So you see why this is kind of a difficult film to talk about, because this was made in 1976. Kind of predicted what goes on today. There are a few things in the film that are very dated, yes. But because back then it was kind of like, oh, yeah, mixing in the entertainment department with the news department. Well, guess what? It happened. It did happen. That explains all the news networks that we have on cable TV now and on the internet. I mean, you want to see a modern day Howard Beale? Just turn on your cable news channels. Alex Jones. That is, everybody who's got a talking head on television or on the internet is a modern day Howard Beale. Isn't that weird? So you understand. Hopefully you understand that this is why this film is so difficult to talk about, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie, and it's from 1976, and at the time it was kind of considered a kind of a dark comedy, like ha ha ha, like yeah, they're very funny, and now it's like, wow, like that's us today, and yeah, so I do encourage you to check it out. It's from 1976. Originally released by MGM and United Artists. It's now owned by Warner Brothers and Turner Entertainment, because it's MGM. Anything pre-1985 MGM is on Warner Brothers Home Video. So, yeah, Network from 1976. Directed by Sidney Lumet. Produced by Howard Gottfried. And screenplay by Patty Chayefsky. The film won a ton of Academy Awards back in the day. It's among AFI's top 100 American films. Let's see here. Academy Award winning screenplay. Best Actress, Faye Dunaway. Best Actor, Peter Finch. And it won 3 Academy Awards. Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Actor. So yeah. Network. Go check it out. So from me to you, see you later.